The rise in the price of electricity in the last decade has simply been staggering. Yet somehow it's continuing to go up, with another 20% surge due in a few weeks. The state government promised it would soften the blow for families. But now it's warning that budget projections are worsening, and there's no guarantee it can halt these soaring costs. Josh Bavis reports.
Electricity. It's an essential part of our lives, and our cities would grind to a halt without it. But increasingly, it's becoming a luxury item.
It keeps going up and up and up, and no matter what we've tried to do, it still seems to be going up. So, it begs the question, what's the point of trying to save power if the bill's still going to go up?
Like many families, Clara and Ben Werybush are finding it hard to live within their budget.
Just to afford living in a good amount of comfort, we've had housemates who have moved in with our small family so that we can all share the bill and foot that, which is a lot easier financially, but a lot more stressful emotionally.
They say they're frugal with electricity and haven't been using their air conditioner or heater this year in a bid to keep quarterly bills down.
Bills are the scariest thing to look forward to in the mail. The housemates check the mail, I walk home, see a bill on my computer, and I just put it to the side. I don't want to know most of the time. It's, the dread of walking to the letterbox, really.
It's not just homeowners dreading their power bills, farmers have also been hit hard. Since the year 2000, the cost of power for agricultural industries like cotton, sugar, beef and dairy has risen by 250%. Retailers are also paying a hefty price.
Energy costs have gone through the roof right across the country, but in particular we have an opportunity here in Queensland to do something about it by what I consider to be a landmark consideration by a state government anywhere in this country.
The state government assured Queenslanders it would shield them from a massive 21% hike in power prices when the increase was recommended by the Queensland Competition Authority earlier this year. The state authority that assesses the cost of providing power said that was the price of upgrading the network, along with other expenses.
I can tell the people of Queensland that we will be taking action to make sure that this unacceptable increase will not affect them as badly as it would if it was allowed to go through in full.
Tim Nichols flagged alternatives that included government absorbing some of the costs.
One of them is that the distributor companies are owned by the government, and we can ask the boards of those companies to absorb some of the increase, reduce the dividends that are payable back to government. That's another option that's available to us. We can provide more money by way of a community service obligation to support a lower price being charged by those distributors.
But since then, state revenue figures have lost their shine, and the government's warned of a bleak budget. This week, Cabinet met to discuss its options but failed to emerge with a resolution. It's still deciding what to do, despite being weeks away from the new financial year. The Queensland Council of Social Service says some increases have already been set by the Competition Authority. Single dwellings or small households will feel the biggest strain, with fixed prices like connection fees and meter readings set to go up 80% in 3 years.
So it'll hit people who use lower amounts of energy the hardest, and very often these are low-income households.
Like other industry and consumer groups, QCOS has made a submission to government on what it believes will keep costs down. Linda Parmenter says a review of the rebates currently given to some users is needed.
There's some questions we need to ask about whether that system is well enough targeted. Is it reaching those people who need it most? We also need to ask, is it enough? Is that amount of money actually helping people manage the rising cost of electricity?
Eligible residents receive concessions of about $230 a year. To qualify, you need a pensioner card, a seniors card or a repatriation healthcare card. But Linda Parmenter says it should be means tested or come with a standard healthcare card.
We should be looking at whether it's targeting the right people in our community, that those who most need it are actually receiving it. Currently, we think there's some limitations in terms of the eligibility.
The Energy Users Association, which represents a range of businesses like the nation's large grocery chains, says the government needs to follow through on its earlier suggestion that it could take less profit from its energy corporations.
Queensland energy users have been taking a hit on their budgets for quite some time. You know, whether you're a manufacturer or whether you are mum and dad out there in the household, you've been taking a hit with energy costs over the last few years.
Many consumers have looked at their own options for cutting the cost of power, but the government has reduced some of those to save money too. The incentive for residents to move to solar power has dropped since the government slashed its feed-in tariffs from 44 cents to 8 cents a kilowatt. That scheme is set to be reviewed in the new financial year. Solar manufacturers say there's a growing number of Queenslanders installing standalone solar power systems so they can go off the grid altogether. But renters like Ben and Clara Werybush say their options are limited like thousands of other renting families, and they need relief from soaring costs.
Any little bit of help we can get as a family, and I know there's families out there worse off than we are, and I can't imagine being in a position where that little bit of help that you've been, hoping on is all you've got.